You ready?
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to Filling in the Gaps. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
And today we're going to discuss a game called Escape F1rst. This is it's kind of touted as a multiplayer game, right? But I think we both think that it works much better as a single player. It is an escape room game. It is from On Skull Games, which is both the dev and publisher. It's about $6 a base, so it's really not too much. And released back in 2018. And as we record this now, it's 2019, and they have
a sequel.
And did you look in the game at their other games? Like there was a link in the main menu in the lobby.
Oh, no. Because I couldn't get anything to work in that lobby. That was broken for me. I couldn't.
You're having a lot of trouble in that.
Yeah.
It looks like they've got some other similar escape room type games. So it seems like this is what they do.
Well, good for them, because, I mean, the price is good, and the content, I mean, for what you would pay for a regular escape room, $6 for 3 rooms is pretty good value, and it does what it says on the tin kind of thing. It's an escape room, puzzles are decent. Yeah, but it wasn't bad, but well,
we're going to get into that. We will recommend it, I think, at least I would recommend it if you like escape room stuff. It's not perfect. It has definitely some interface stuff that isn't the best. There are some noises in there which are kind of irritating. But like Darren said, it's a short game, but it's an escape room. And if you're into escape rooms, it's probably worth giving it a go. There's really not much we can say about this game without getting into spoilers. So with that, we're going to say we recommend it. We probably recommend it more as a single player rather than a multiplayer game. I will say this. It's a bit tricky, that lobby and the menu, working your way into the room. So what you need to do is you need to actually choose a room and then hit start, I think, or create room, something like that. You have to do that in that order, I believe, because otherwise it will just not go anywhere.
I couldn't get this game to work, man, because when you said, let's play that, I kind of binned it at one point because... I just written it off as a game that didn't work, because you go in, everything looks great. Okay, pick my room. Okay, done. Click start. Nothing happens. Click start. Nothing goes on.
I think you actually have to click on the room until there's an actual description and picture of the room. If you just highlight it, you haven't actually clicked on it properly, and it won't work. Yeah,
it's a weird way to get a game started, but...
It is, and we went through such different things. I got in on my own, so I realized I must be able to get on my own, but I had done it after I had invited you, and you hadn't seen the invite or couldn't get in.
I wasn't even online at the time, yeah.
And, well, I couldn't do it when you weren't online. I could only do it when you were online. But there was a way that I could do it. I'm just going to invite you. Don't accept so that I can get into the room, because I thought you needed to have a second player. You don't, though. You don't.
Yeah, if I'd known that, I would have probably played this way back when I first got it. But I bought it, I loaded it up, and I couldn't get into the game. Because it says on the store page it's a single or a co-op game.
Yeah.
And I could only see
team.
That it was team stuff. It was co-op. So I was like, all right, it's broken. This is now being farmed for cards. So, that was it. But yeah, that's a shame, because I would have played it, and I enjoyed the solo play way more than the multiplayer.
Which makes me wonder, because we didn't try this, but there's a way to set it up as team, where you're both in the same room, and versus, where I think you would be racing against each other in time. At least then you would each be in your own room.
That would make a difference. That would be a bit more fun. Because, the co-op was just like...
The room is pretty small.
And you're this big, giant, crash test dummy that's, wandering around. At least in Last Will.
But if we hadn't played together, we would never know what we looked like.
At least in that game like Last Will, you're just this, dark silhouette. And you're not really obtrusive. This was I don't know what I looked like, but you were this, giant red crash test dummy.
You were orange.
I was orange, right. And so, yeah, it was weird. That was weird. And for the levels for the level that I played next, that was a really small room. The clown room was small, but the red button room is even smaller. I can't imagine 2 crash test dummies in there.
Maybe that's why they're crash test dummies, because you're just crashing into each other all the time. But with that, we're going to get into the spoiler section. So we recommend it if this is...
Sorry.
Right. We recommend this if it's really kind of your thing. If you really love escape room kind of puzzles, then give it a go. But
it's cheap enough.
It's cheap enough. I would say, again, aim for the single player or maybe the versus mode instead of the team mode. All right. Spoiler section. So the game we played together was the Clown Room, the Murder Circus or whatever.
Psycho Circus? Was that what it was called, I think?
I hope so, because that's a much better name. We got in there. It took us a while to figure out even how to get in at the same time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of similar puzzles. I think one of my biggest complaints about this game is how similar all the puzzles seem to feel. But overall, I mean, it's a fun experience when it's working well.
I mean, what I found, or what I thought about it was, it's in a real escape room, you have limitations. So you've got drawers, keys, locks, padlocks, combination locks. You've got a bunch of things that you can work with, and you can get creative with that.
There are also other things. There are tricks with magnets you can do. There's blacklight. There's which blacklight you could pull off in a game,
right? But that's what I mean. It's like so you, in a real life escape room, you've got all these tricks. In this game, they use all the same tricks or a lot of the same ones. But they don't take advantage of the fact, hey, this is a computer game. We can really go nuts here. So it is like an authentic escape room experience, but it's so normal. You know, they don't do anything. The only thing that they did special that I thought was really cool was when that body drops out of the ceiling in the second room.
Yeah.
That's something I would love to see in a real escape room. Like if you push the button and something drops out, it like gives you like a jump scare. That'd be pretty cool. But you probably couldn't do that for like health and safety reasons. Someone would probably sue you. But yeah, so it's like things like that. It's like they could have gone further. That's my only complaint.
I agree. I think it's not your only complaint.
I was just thinking, as soon as I said that, I was like, that's not my only complaint.
Look, listeners, you don't know, but the whole time we were playing together, he was just so unhappy.
Oh, man.
Constant messages of just like, I'm miserable. Because I would ask, do you want to get a hint? Should we ask for a hint? Because you can ask for a hint about every 5 minutes. And I was trying not to do hints, but my friend responds, please. This is torture. Every minute in here is torture. Please get me out of here. I was like, okay, fine.
But that, and the thing was the hint system as well, right? Because so here's it from my perspective as well, right? The hint system has no sounds to it, right? I don't know if it does for you. And also, I can't take hints. If you're the gamekeeper of the room, only you could get hints.
Yeah, though the first hint that I asked for, you said you could see it.
Oh no, I could see all of them. I could see most of them.
But it seemed like there was a delay after the first one. Because the first one I asked you right away, and you said you could see it. But then later on, when I was doing stuff, and you would say, how did you do that? How did you solve that? I said, well, I just used the hint. It was really obvious with the hint.
Yeah.
And you were like, what hint?
Yeah, because I would be doing stuff like that. Like, okay, if we're going to talk about the first room.
Let's go with the first room. Let's really talk about it.
So we go in, and then it's like, and so, yeah, so you're taking those hints, and I was ready for the first one because you said, should we take the hint? Yeah, let's do it. And then it comes up, and then that's it. But as you were taking hints more and more, there's no warning sound. There's no like, bling, here's a hint. It's just text on the screen. So I'm busy like looking at stuff, and I'm trying to figure out stuff, and then your hint gets displayed. I'm totally not aware of it. And then because honestly, in that first room, I think I solved one puzzle, if that. Like, I don't think I did anything in that first room. Because you're just like, bing, 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 you're just running everywhere. Yeah, here, beep, 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 beep. That's the combination for that. Look, beep, beep, beep. Here's, oh yeah. Oh, I've opened this drawer. Oh, where does this go? Oh, it goes here. And I was just like, what the f*** is going on, man? I had no idea. It pissed me off. Because
I know. However, to be honest, sometimes this is the way you are.
Yeah.
There are a number of times where we've done some co-op stuff where you're just taking over. Take, for example, Vermintide 2.
Okay.
There is the huge circular puzzle.
All right. Yeah.
Which we played together about 4 times, of which I've never touched the controls once.
Aye.
Because you go, I know what I'm doing, and so I'm just left to defend.
Right.
Just a case in point.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that it happens all the time, because then I'd probably stop wanting to play with you. But there are some times where you catch on to stuff much faster and you just soar ahead, and I'm left kind of trying to catch up.
Right.
I think an even better example would probably be The Black Watchman.
Okay.
There were just times where...
That's going back.
It's going way back. But there were times where you were just so far ahead of me. And I was racing to try to keep up.
Yeah.
And we were trying to help each other out. And I was feeling very bad and guilty because I couldn't seem to get ahead enough to ever help you out.
Right.
There's only one, maybe two puzzles I think that I was actually the key help on. And
so that's payback time for me then, because I was powerless in that clown room, man.
But that's a problem not just with this game, but escape rooms in general. You get people who run in and they take over, which can be good if they know what they're doing. It can be bad if they don't know what they're doing. It can also just be kind of this friction that makes it an unpleasant experience.
I think in the escape rooms that I've played as well, we've been separated by some kind of barrier. So that if you go in with 4 people, 2 people are in this section of the room, and 2 people are, like, I played a jail one where 2 people are in a cell, 2 people are out of the cell.
You're talking a virtual video game.
No, a real escape room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The only one I've done, we were all in the same room together.
So I like that because, like, you had to communicate with each other. And you're like, okay, here's what I've got on my side. Like, especially on parts of the wall that they can't see. I've got these numbers. What have you got? And you're kind of looking through the bars of, like, the cell wall, trying to work with each other. And that was a really good experience because it separated you. Those guys had their tasks. You had your tasks, and you had to communicate.
Right. And I think that's exactly why we enjoy games like TikTok and Last Will and We Were Here, because it is this gap fill activity where you have half the information, I have the other half, and we have to work together.
Yeah.
This one isn't like that. So it's very easy for one person to just jump in and take over. There are some real problems with this room, though. Let's talk about some of the problems. So one, colors. Colors play a huge part in most of the puzzles, and some of the colors are really, really hard to see. I found, in particular, maybe it's just my eyes, but the blues and greens sometimes looked almost the same.
I was going to say the blue and green.
There was an issue of placing items because this is where the interface really kind of lets you down, because you will pick up an object and that's fine. It's a bit awkward the way they've set it up, but you can bring it in close and zoom in and rotate it around. But it took me a long time to figure out how that worked, even after looking at the control map. So that is a bit of an issue. It's not intuitive. But even worse is there's not a great way to place things.
Right.
So you just kind of drop them.
There's dropped stuff all over the floor at some points, yeah.
To the point where...
Because we were like, hey, where did you put that? Did you pick up that horse? Like, yeah, I dropped it somewhere.
Because the end game is all about this carousel and these horses, and we've been dropping them all over the place, and we couldn't find them, and it's not a huge room.
Yeah.
So when we couldn't find them, we were a bit concerned that they had fallen through an object and we couldn't get to them.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be able to win.
That floor was just like a litter box of just items at the end, man.
The mirror, I really think the mirror should work in a way where you can actually see yourself in the mirror.
I read an article about why mirrors don't work in games, and it was quite interesting. Like, because way back in the day, Mad Max is one of the first games where I remember anyway that if you looked in the mirror, you saw yourself. Hitman, I think, you look in the mirror, you see yourself. But tons of games, they're all frosted over or they're all broken. Like, why do games keep doing that? Why do they keep on not putting... Because, I mean, surely it's not that hard to just write a script like, okay, just like reflect the environment. But supposedly it is, and it takes a lot of money and development time to put into that. But yeah, it's odd. But yeah, in this game, again, it's just another one to the huge list of games that mirrors just don't work.
It's just that the mirror is such a huge focal point, so it seems weird.
Yeah, because it's like a powder room, isn't it? It's like it's got the lights around it and stuff, and yeah, but the mirror doesn't actually mirror things.
One problem I had with this room, and as I said before, it is a kind of sameness to all the puzzles, but this room in particular really felt that way. Probably the last room as well felt very much that way, but this one was even worse because I feel like in this one, it's all about colors and clowns. And how would you know which is which? So there are the colors with the triangles at the top, and you basically...
I had a big problem seeing it. You were talking about... I still can't see those colors, man. You're like, oh, that's green and stuff. I'm like, what?
Well, I wasn't sure which one was green and blue. That's why I was trying to ask you about colors.
I couldn't see anything. They all just look the same to me.
So those colors and those triangles, okay. That one I'm all right with because it's the only one with triangles, and there are triangles on that drawer.
Right.
And the next one, I think, was the hats. And okay, I'd already kind of put that together because I had been trying the hat puzzle before we actually had all the hats. And just guessing at it, I thought one would be 0.
Right.
Because we didn't have that hat. No. But then you get into the marionettes, which are clowns. You've got this cupboard which has clown faces on it, which actually relate to the pants that you pull out. And, well, there's stripes, which I guess are lines. I mean, when you know the answer, you can see it, but...
That was the one I solved. That was the only puzzle I solved in that whole room.
It just didn't feel intuitive.
But I mean, it was a theme, though, wasn't it? And I like that, like, about...
I just feel like the theme was kind of ran into the ground. Like, there was so many clowns and colors,
yeah.
and all combination locks. And that noise. I got so sick of that noise.
Yeah.
After 3 games of it. So those are things. Well, I think the other thing you would say is that shelf that moves and roars at you.
Yeah.
That really bothered you.
That was weird. Did we ever... I don't know if we ever found out what was going on there, did we?
I think that's just for atmosphere.
That's stupid then. I mean, that's really dumb. Like, so, yeah, is it like just for people that have maybe not played it? It's like there's this shelf that is obviously on casters, and you can kind of... It looks like it can be rolled back, but every time you try and interact with it, it's got this, like, horror theme music, like... Din, 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 din. It's like the guy from Halloween's coming after you. But we never actually got to... It wasn't part of the puzzle. It was almost a red herring.
I think it was. And maybe that's what they were going for. In the one escape room in the real world that I've done, there were a lot of red herrings. And maybe that's partly what they were trying to go for. I think there's the one set of clown dolls that really were pointless, that didn't really add to the game at all. I think those were red herrings. So I think they were probably trying to add a bit of that, but you almost need to add more of it or not do it at all.
I think as a rule, I've seen 1 red herring per room. That's it. That's all you need. Like don't overdo it, because otherwise you're just second guessing everything, and that doesn't make it fun. But yeah, that shelf was annoying. It was like, just, what is your purpose? I couldn't get over it.
There's also just the ending. You don't get to see yourself actually leave the room. You don't even get to see the door open.
Yeah.
It just says, congratulations, you've won.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's a bit of a letdown, to be honest. I do like this room, though. But I think part of it is I was actually getting to play, whereas you feel you weren't getting to play. It was good. I think that there needed to be an easy go-to first puzzle, or a clue as to what the first puzzle should be.
Yeah, because there's a lot of boxes. Like, usually in escape rooms, it's like, open this, get to the next one. Open that, get to the next one. Open this drawer. Oh, there's a key here. And this key is used to open this box that you've just uncovered. It's like, they're usually very focused and very, because people don't like to be made to feel like idiots. And they like to be, like it or not, linear fashion is what our brains enjoy, pretty much. We like to go through progression. But this game was like, boom, here's 10 boxes to open. Like, you figure it out. Like, wow, that's a lot to go on.
And 8 of them have a combination lock.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get 4 numbers, start putting it in everywhere. Yeah. At least that was my strategy in the first one.
Yeah.
So,
sorry. The thing that I just remembered is the one thing, again, I don't know if I don't like this or if this was a good call by the developers. I don't like how it's like, you got 1 hour to escape, but you don't. Like, if you take more than an hour, then the clock just goes into the minus points. Like, I don't know if I would have liked it if it gets to an hour and it's like, you're out, start again.
I can pretty much guarantee you that first room, when we're playing together, you would not have liked that.
Yeah.
However, on your own...
Yeah, like replay value, going through it, and especially if they did kind of a Last Will thing where they switched it up and changed all the combinations and things. And
I think that's something that would need to be done to give it replay value. Otherwise, I have no need to go back in.
Yeah, because we definitely went overtime on that first round.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Because we were like minus 20 at one point, I remember. So we'd spent an hour and 20 minutes in that first round.
But that's also partly us trying to figure out how the game worked.
Yeah.
And the interface and losing things.
Just picking, like you said before, picking up stuff and like trying to rotate it. I kept on, because you're playing on controller, yeah?
I did, yeah. I went a little bit back and forth because some things seemed to be easier one way versus the other.
Because I kept on picking up stuff. Because usually it's like E is your interact button, but in this one it was different. It was like the mouse 1, and then mouse 2 was something, and E was another thing, and F was something, and I just kept on picking up stuff and like trying to look at it and then like just dropping it. Like, oh, well, where is that now? Like, pick it up again. Yeah, so the interface was bad. The time thing was like, well, there's no consequence, like, and there's no reason, like you said, there's no reason to go back and play it again. They could have solved that themselves. Yeah, and the menu just to get into the game was a huge... I would never have played this game if it wasn't for you saying we should do it for this episode. I would never have given it a second chance. Because I got it in a bundle. It was like 10 cents.
Oh, really?
It was cheap, man. It was...
Okay.
I mean, if you took into account the whole bundle.
Yeah, of course.
It was cheap. It had cards. And that was it, you know. So I paid 10 cents for it, and I got like 30 cents worth of cards. So I was done with it because, all right, it's broken. It's not a single player game, even though it advertises it as that. But I'm happy. And you're like, oh, let's play this game. I'm like, no, you can't. Well, we can play it together. All right. And now here we are. Yeah, I would have this would have gone into like the trash pile.
The second room you did play though, right? The red button.
The red button. Yeah.
Which we already talked about, the body falling, which is fantastic. I like this one much more. I felt like there was a lot more variety to the puzzles. There's, 2 rooms.
That was a cool thing as well, that you could actually move into another room at some point.
Actually, kind of 3, because you get that false wall that you can kind of go through, get a code, and then come back to exit into the other room. Some of the puzzles felt a little awkward, and I questioned whether I could have actually guessed at it without the hint. And even after knowing it, there are some times where I think, I'm not sure that really gave it enough information to solve. The one thing was a giant remote control, which I didn't know it was a remote control until the hint told me it was a remote control. It doesn't look like a remote control. How did you feel about the second room?
I liked it, yeah. I liked it's called the red button, and you start off and there's a giant red button.
See, that's the start point, and that's what I feel like the first room needed, was a start point.
Right.
We're not really given a story. We're not given a cutscene to intro, and unfortunately not one on the outro, which would be really nice. But at least this one was more linear, and it gave us a starting point. Yeah.
Because I looked at that red button, and I just thought, oh, Twilight Zone. You know, it was like, I don't know what the name of that episode is, but it's the one where the guy comes around and delivers a box, and he's like, push this button, you get $1 million, but someone that you don't know will die. You ever see that one?
I don't think so. That was a color one, was it?
I think it was a new one, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen mostly just the black and white ones, I think.
But yeah, so spoilers for that, but yeah. Yeah.
There's a red button.
She takes the bet, pushes the button, she gets $1 million in her bank, and she's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm off to give this box to someone else, someone you don't know. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, and then I pushed it into this dead body falls from the ceiling. That was brilliant. But yeah, it was a good room, and it was much better going in. Like, even, again, going back to the Last Will, where silhouettes were very unobtrusive in each other's like field of view. This is like, yeah, you're a giant tanky crash test dummy getting in the way of you. You're not transparent, so I can't see through you. Like, just having that in your field of vision, and not just in your field of vision, but zipping around going, what the hell's going on? Like, pressing all these buttons and stuff. Just, it was such a distraction. Going in alone after you'd found out the kind of cheat code to get into the rooms, solo play. It's like, oh yeah, this is actually a decent game. That's when my heart kind of thawed to this game. Yeah, I like this level. I liked it a lot. It was, again though, like you said, it's like there's a lot of the same. It's all 4-digit combinations, 4-digit combinations, 4-digit combinations.
That seems to be their thing, at least in this game. because I will warn you the next one is very similar.
Yeah. So I liked it. It was a decent level.
Now, the last one you didn't get a chance to play yet.
No.
So I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't want to spoil it. I want you to give it a shot. It is, again, more of the same where it's a sameness, but the visuals that they do is very much video game visuals.
What is the last level called?
I didn't write down the actual name. It's about time. So you're going to see a ton of clocks.
That is, yeah.
And so most everything has to do with clocks and times and combinations. But instead of necessarily having to do 4-digit codes, you're having to set the clocks to the right time.
Okay. That sounds interesting, at least.
It's a little bit different. I'll give you just the first one, which you would probably catch anyway. There are quotes about time.
Okay.
So one is time is money, and then there's a clock that corresponds. And that's kind of your starting point.
Okay.
It feels much more intuitive, but I don't know if that's because it is or because I've now played through the other two rooms and I have a much better idea of how things work.
Right, yeah.
You again you solve the first room and then you go into a second room. There's a weird thing where sometimes you get numbers and symbols and they just float into the second room ahead of you, which at first I was afraid was a glitch and I wasn't going to be able to finish the game, but that's not really the case.
Okay.
So that goes out. And the last couple puzzles I didn't really like as much, but it's an interesting concept. The first half of that has a very interesting look to it. If you like the other stuff, you'll like that one. I definitely recommend you give it a try. One great thing about this game is you only need about an hour and a half to do one room,
right?
Which may be a lot of time for some people, but if you can set that aside, that's all you really need. And you could speed that up by getting a hint every 5 minutes if you really wanted to.
Can you save that game?
I don't think so. What did you think about the math puzzle at the end of the second one?
Oh man, don't even ask me about maths.
I had to definitely use my hints on that one. I understood kind of what they wanted, but I couldn't understand what they wanted math-wise. And I don't think that there's any way I could have ever figured that one out without the hint system.
Yeah, I think I looked up a walkthrough for that, to be honest. I was like, no, I can't. Can't deal with that.
The hint system was enough for me on that and got me through. No, actually, I think I did too. I think I had to look up a walkthrough as well. Not a walkthrough. I found a response where the devs actually helped somebody out.
Right. Yeah.
And they hid it behind the spoiler wall.
Yeah, that's what I looked up, yeah.
And once I understood it, I went, oh, okay. I don't need to know all of them, but I needed to know how to do the first one. And it wasn't guided well. I feel like this puzzle needed a bit of guidance because it is not straightforward. I was looking up online, what do 2 pluses mean? Thinking this is some sort of higher level math thing that I never encountered.
Yeah.
But that's not, or if it is, I didn't find it in my search.
No. Yeah, because it's like, it's basically 3 walls, isn't it? And there's like
It is, though the first one counts as 2.
Yeah, so it's like, 2 plus 9, or whatever the hell it was. It's like, what? Yeah, what's plus? Like, is this like a minus thing?
What it means, what I think they're trying to say is, and obviously we're in the spoiler section here, you need to add the numbers together and then add the digits together.
Right.
That's the plus, but I never would have gotten that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you come up with the figure and then you got to add those 2 digits from the double digits together. Like,
I was doing all sorts of other adding this wall and this wall together and adding corresponding first digit to the first digit on the other side to the first digit on the other side, and then trying to add those all together and just find some way where it worked, and it didn't. It
was definitely a massive leap of logic for me that was beyond. But no, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't too crazy once you know the answer. Everything's easy, I guess. But yeah, logic leaps are rough, especially in puzzle games, and that was a huge one. Like plus. Come on.
I guess the big question now would be, with the sequel out and being roughly the same price, are you tempted at all?
I am. I just hope that the UI is better and that you can play single player easier and you don't have to invite a friend that's not online to get into single player, or if they do have single player, that it's transparent silhouettes that don't get in your vision.
I think I would be willing to give it a try as well. I enjoy these. I really kind of want more of these. I know there are probably more out there that I haven't experienced, but this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And a much cheaper way to do an escape room than actually going to a physical one. Maybe not quite as fun. I think there's probably a lot more to being in a real environment, but for people who can't make that happen, who can't get a group together, that can't organize it out, or perhaps rooms. I know that I've been to places before where friends suggested it, but when we looked, you had to book weeks in advance, and I just didn't have that much time when I was visiting to do that. This is a good way to kind of get that feel when you can't go. So would I play this again? Probably not, but I would definitely consider playing one of their other games and seeing if they're any good.
Yeah, I mean, their puzzles seem to be logical for the most part. That's a big plus. And
if devs are online helping people out and answering questions, that gives me a pretty good feel about who they are.
Yeah.
And the price is right for what it is.
Yeah, what is it? It's like $6?
Yeah, and that's the base price. It can go on sale for under $5.
Right, so $2 a room. It's not bad. It's not bad value. Gaps filled or more gaps created.